Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes.
Oh.
We apologize for being 15 minutes late, but we have a good reason. I'm not going to tell you it, but we do. Good evening, everyone. How are you? Talk to me, chat.
Anybody out there?
Yeah, so far I don't see anybody in the side chat.
Oh, just me, huh?
I had been hoping that by starting late we would wind up having a couple of people there because they usually show up 10 minutes late. So I figured if we start 15 minutes late, we'd actually have somebody.
It's just you in the chat room.
Oh,
There's a song in that somewhere. Oh, there's one.
I'm
not Monica Man.
Or I quit YouTube.
Oh, hey, Randy. Yeah, well, it's still listing me as being one person in the chat. So anyway.
So let's get this rescue cat
day.
Let's get this bullshit topic over with.
Yeah. Today is Rescue Cat Day, so basically trying to reduce the number of cats that are running around without any place to live and try to make life a little better for the ones that are stuck out there. Actually, Jenny and I had a little discussion on this not long ago. You know, not just the two of us, but in the private chat about the trap, neuter, and release programs, which I have to admit I don't have any solid numbers on, but from everything I have read, they do help to reduce the number of feral cats running around. Just so that they don't have as many litters then.
Well, I'm sure it's effective for those cats that get involved in it, but I'm just saying that there's hundreds and if not tens of thousands of cats that never get involved with it. And they breed like rabbits.
But part of the idea of neutering and releasing them is that the ones who can't reproduce will still be competition for mates with the ones that do reproduce.
So a male cat can fuck all the hell the time he wants. He's just like a male human. They can fuck frequently.
Yeah, but not if there's another male that's keeping him away from the females. So if you have a male who can't reproduce, who is guarding several of the females, they're not going to get pregnant.
Maybe the cat that you think is all tough and fighting off suitors has lost all its virility because it no longer has any testicles.
Well,
my female cat was the one that controlled the area and only had one male in.
I just see it as a losing battle.
The females do tend to be the more dominant. Okay, now we've got some people in the side chat. Said hello to Randy. We've got Calissa and Aunt Jur and Seraphin.
And I guess that my first cat would be the good example of a rescue, since I was looking for a cat, and there was this one lady who said they had a bunch of cats, and I went in, they had a porch full of cats, so I sat down looking around, and this one cat jumped up in my lap and curled up and fell asleep. I'm like, okay, this one.
You do not choose the cat chooses you.
Yes.
That's often how it works.
And later I found out, after we cleaned her up, we thought she was a gray cat. She turned out to be a white cat. She was just so dirty. And we noticed that the tip of her tail was cut off.
Must have got caught in something at some point.
Well, no, it was actually cut off. It was actually the way it was done. Looking at it, was actually someone actually cut it off.
I just can't imagine why. That's why I was assuming it was an accident.
Because there's lots of sick people who like to torture animals.
Unfortunately, there are. Well, I have frequently talked about how in New York I had 3 cats that came from the feral colony in the park. One of them never became fully domesticated. We continued to call him Simon Simone because we never could get close enough to determine gender. So mostly they lived in the basement. I had originally started, feeding them in the garage. So I had a cat flap on the garage, which I used for my shop. So they could, get in and shelter from the weather, and I'd leave food there. And then when it got really cold, we put a cat flap in the door between the garage and the house so they could get down the basement and the other cats, could go in and out. Because Fiona was the one that we, fully successful in bringing indoors. Started feeding her out on the back deck, and she did get calm enough that eventually she was a lap cat, and she was one of the ones that came with me when I moved from New York to Michigan.
I don't think that's the type of cat they're talking about, Mage Grey Wolf.
You sure? Well, he was an evolved cat.
Well, they did kind of re-domesticate him. Although later on in the story, it was told that there had been a whole colony of them that left, and he was the only one left behind.
Yes, and Lister was their god.
Yeah, just, you got to be careful about who you have as gods. Let me make that larger there so people can see it.
Hi, Athena.
One of my favorites.
Are we talking about cats today? Is that why you're here? Or do you just want to bite my hand?
Yeah.
That was definitely my aunt's house.
Well, it's all right, Athena. I'll be going to bed soon enough because...
So what is the side chat saying? Randy adopted 2 cats in the spring.
They're getting big now.
Yep. Seraphine's toes will be 4 in April.
Oh, you're growing new toes? Cool.
I think Toes is the name of a polydactyl cat she has.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
Hi, Athena. You'll be 2 in August.
Okay. Calissa, are you actually involved in a program that's doing the trap and release, or do you just mean a more general community sense? Hey, Doc Fearsome's joined us.
Hi. Is that how that got out there, Athena?
No one wanted a polydactyl cat. Why not?
The shoes wouldn't fit.
Okay, I think Sammy was supposed to be polydactyl. He's only got 5 toe pads, but he's got 6 claws on each of his front paws. So it looks like maybe it started to form as 2 separate thumbs that grew together.
If my mom had survived, she would have gotten a polydactyl cat as her next cat.
Oh. Poor toes.
Ooh. People are really cruel to cats sometimes. Boy.
Yes, they can be. And yeah, abandoned and... Sorry, Jenny?
No, go ahead.
I thought you were starting to talk.
No, not me.
Yeah, Sammyson has gotten much more insistent about being a lap cat over the last couple of months. Used to be he was happy just, sitting up on the chair laying against my leg, but More and more, he seems to be insistent about removing the keyboard. So I guess he's feeling neglected.
Athena likes to perch above my head.
Now, that's one thing that Sammy doesn't do. He doesn't get up on the back of the chair.
Sometimes she'll sit in my lap, but mostly she just likes to be behind me where she can see. Or sometimes she likes to be on the floor where I can't see her so she can attack my feet.
Okay, Doc, as far as I know, we don't have any flying cats yet.
I think we're working on it, though.
Yeah, but I think you'd have better luck crossing one with a bat. At least they're both mammals.
When did flat screen TVs kind of explode in popularity because the price went down?
I think the price drop was sometime between like 2010 and 2015.
No. Sooner than 2010 I think is a good number, but I'm thinking earlier than that.
Okay, well, 2015 was the first time I found one I could afford.
Yeah.
But I'm perpetually broke, but I guess that's not saying a lot.
Well, I think that people complain about their cats being a pest and always wanting to lay on them and all that kind of stuff. You got to think about why they want to do. They want to do that because because you're warm. They want to stay somewhere warm, and it's a problem now because in the past they used to have an electric cat warmer in every house, also called a TV.
This is true.
Okay, and now there's just these flat things that even a good cat can't balance on while they're sleeping. So I think we need to invent an electric cat heater.
Wait. We still have those. They're called laptops and desktops.
Yeah, we just need desktop computers that are large enough for the cats to lay on.
Yeah, and hence all the cat fur getting in the machine. I'd rather see a separate cat warmer built so they can stay on the other side of the room, leave me alone kind of situation.
And I know some people who have bought their cats their own laptop just.
So I'm guessing you don't particularly like cats.
No, cats are lovely. I don't ever want to live with one again. I've had cats.
Oh, I can't see living without them myself. But, actually, I would have dogs if I ever had a house, but living in an apartment, I don't think that's really fair for a dog.
Yeah.
They need more space.
If I'm at a friend's house and they have cats, I'm more than happy to cradle the cat and pet the cat and play with the cat and all that kind of stuff. I just don't want them to come home with me. I found them to be terrible house partners.
But yeah, we're working on winged cats. We still haven't gotten them flying yet, but
well, that would be fun. How about if you cross them with a flying squirrel so that they can glide out of the trees that they crawl up and can't get down in?
yeah, that could work.
This is Sammy's son. Whoop, I got to hit another button here. There we go.
Bring me down.
Yep. There's Sammy's son practicing his camouflage on the black and white bedspread.
Yeah, and sure, that's a good idea. That would be a good product.
Yep. I had done that in an apartment I had 20 years ago, that I had just put a piece of plywood across the top of the radiator and secured it there for the cat bed.
I couldn't be without a pet myself. Sometimes that's the only reason why I get out of bed.
Yeah. Well, I have just always lived with cats, and I can only remember 6 months of my life that I didn't have an animal living with me. And it was unnerving to me, not to have something else alive moving around in the apartment.
I was going to say, when I went back to visit family over Christmas, one of my sister's cats just decided to. It's like, okay, I'm going to sleep next to you.
Yep.
I don't know if I had more body heat than the other people in the house. Or...
Well, and this is a good point. If you're going to get a kitten, always get at least 2 from the same litter. Don't
If you
just take
can.
one alone.
I mean, I wish I could have gotten one of Athena's litter mates, but
Boy, did any of you hear that statistic on how much snow they got out west? I forget exactly what the location was, but they said that they measured at 524 inches so far this year. That's like 40 feet.
Yeah, that seems like
it's
an incredible amount.
It's unbelievable. Where do you put that much snow? Damn.
Well, I know in Chicago, when they get that, they wind up dumping it off a Navy Pier into the lake.
I'm pretty sure Chicago's never gotten 40 feet of snow.
Well, no, not 40 feet, but I mean, when they get buried under several feet at a time and they just don't have any place to pile it anymore.
Yeah, that's a pretty handy thing to have next door to you is a big old lake. Well, all the snow around here is going away fast.
Yep. Yeah, I have seen pet beds that have an electric heating pad in them and a pressure sensor, so they only come on when the animal's laying on them. I think dogs would be good in pairs too. I don't know why. Don't know why you would think not to. I've been saying for a while that I wanted to get my apartment cleaned up a bit more, which I haven't been able to do, and get Sammy a companion. Somebody to keep him entertained when I'm not home.
Ferrets are definitely one thing you want to get in pairs as well.
guinea pigs also, generally.
Happy uses the cell to ask us to turn it up for him. How does he dial your phone?
Oh, actually reminds me of a story from today. I was walking to the general store up the street from me, and I heard this phone ringing. I look around, and I see his phone strapped to a stick laying on the street. So I picked it up, and I look at it, and it starts ringing again. So I answered it, and it was the owner's brother.
General store? Where do you live that you still have a general store?
It's a 7-Eleven.
Oh, you mean a convenience store?
Convenience store, yeah. Excuse me.
I mean, I know Casey's calls itself a general store, but...
Well, we have some general stores around here, but... Anyway, so meet him up at the store, and the guy came by and got his phone.
Did you charge him a return fee?
No.
Oh,
So
boy,
aren't your
some capitalist you are.
you don't have experience with cats conspiring together against you? Yeah, cats will team up on anything. Actually, one of the really interesting things was a long time ago when I moved in with my ex, that she had a cat and I had a cat, and in the house they would have nothing to do with each other. But when they were outside, I saw them hunting cooperatively. That one would squat down in the bushes and the other one would circle around into the neighbor's yard and flush birds out of the hedge toward the one that was hiding. And then they'd switch places and do it again.
Yeah, Generally, you should try not to let your cats out because they're quite dangerous to local wildlife.
Yeah, my opinions on that have changed over the years. I would not have outdoor cats anymore. And yeah, a large part of that is because, yeah, I've become much more aware of what they do to the songbird population in the area.
And if one reason I don't let you out is because there are hawks over across the river.
Hey, Commander.
I don't know. I've never heard of a hawk taking on a cat. Eagles, yeah, absolutely. They're significantly bigger.
There have been eagles over there.
Oh yeah. Where I was up in Michigan, there had been cats that had been taken by hawks or by the large owls.
Oh, speaking of owls, I believe it is this weekend is the International Owl Festival in Houston, Minnesota.
Oh.
Oh.
Might be next weekend, but I'm pretty sure it's this coming weekend.
Because I remember, like, after doing something at the campus library in the summer, coming outside and there were like 3 hawks trying to hunt down a rabbit. It's like, and the campus is pretty far in town.
Oh my God.
International Festival of Owls, March 3rd through 5th.
Yep,
Okay.
that's this weekend.
Okay, yeah. So that'll be starting tomorrow.
I never understood why they have it so early in the year. The weather is always rotten. All the years I've lived here, I've never seen them have a nice weekend of weather.
I just wonder if there wasn't, when they first started doing it, if there weren't other events going on in the summer, so they had to put it when it wouldn't be competing with something bigger.
This is Houston County. There's nothing else going on.
Okay, I didn't know. I figure you got to at least have a county fair.
They might interfere with somebody's pancake breakfast, but they can usually do both.
Yeah, I mean, we have the banks of the River Name Festival, the Wine on the River Name Festival, that happens twice, the County Fair, the Blues Festival. Thank goodness we no longer have the Shy Diesel extravaganza.
Well, and this was why we originally allowed cats to start living with us, was that they helped keep the rodents out of our homes.
Athena, you do a really good job of keeping the rodent population down. I haven't seen a single rodent since you moved in.
Boy, I saw there was
or before for that matter.
video on YouTube. These guys, apparently their whole channel is about testing different various types of new mouse traps, and this one's not new, but it was a new product, and as far as how it's designed in detail, it's different than the last one that was designed one way and theirs is designed different, where you basically got a 5-gallon bucket and a ramp going up to the bucket lip and a cover over it with a trapdoor, and when the mice step on the trapdoor, they fall down into it.
Yep.
And this guy, I lost count. There were so many. It looked like maybe 30, 40 or more mice within the span of 20 minutes or so.
And how do they compare against cats?
Well,
the trap, far more effective.
Yeah, my late fiance's cats were not really good at catching the mice in the apartment. So I did much better collecting them with live traps than the cats did.
My first cat did a pretty good job of catching mice, and she'd take the mouse, put it in her food bowl, and get mad at my mom threw it away.
Well, the cat is leaving you a gift and trying to teach you how to hunt properly.
No, she after she killed the mouse, she'd pick it up gently and put it into her food bowl. She's planning to eat it later.
Yep. Well, that was how I knew that Simon, Simone, and I had finally worked out an agreement for sharing the shop space. Was that after I put the cat flap in the garage door, when I went out there one day, I found a decapitated bat laying there as a gift. So I took that to mean he appreciated me putting the cat flap in.
If you put one in the top of your door, would it be a bat flap?
I suppose, or just, a cat flap that's kind of inconvenient. Not that they wouldn't get to it if they wanted to.
I have to wonder if the that would even use a flap like that.
Probably not, because, when they're flying, they echolocate. So if there was a solid panel there, they would avoid it.
That's what I was thinking.
I think you might be on to... No, you've got 20 more minutes to go for a record because you've been on topic.
Well, we did start 15 minutes late, too, so... Yep, 25. Actually, we broke our record from the potato stream a couple of weeks ago. Now I don't even remember what it was we were talking about that day.
Well, I'm not into rescuing cats because used cats are not worth the fur they're printed on.
There is nothing wrong with used cats.
I don't know. Most of them are broken.
Yeah, I know that, but we can fix broken cats. Petunia was severely broken when we got her.
We have the technology.
Bionic cat, huh?
Now, Petunia was obviously seriously abused by whoever had her before. But at this point, she's perfectly calm, and she'll hop up in the chair and just, lay there with Sloth Girl while she's doing her crochet.
Yeah, my last cat was abused beforehand as well.
Yeah. Well, 5 years ago when she got Petunia, you couldn't pet her. Anytime you reached for her, she would bite you. It took her, more than 3 years to get used to the idea that we were just going to pet her. We weren't going to hit her.
Cats will get full... Well, yeah, but cats will also hunt when they don't want to eat, so...
Practice.
Some cats will only hunt when they're hungry. Some cats will just hunt for the sport. And some cats will hunt and bring it to you, so they'll keep hunting because they think you haven't eaten enough. After I fell off a roof in New York, I couldn't walk. And Guapo, who was the third cat I got from that colony, brought me 11 mice in the first 2 days because he was sure I wasn't going to be able to feed myself.
Well, cats do need 11 to 12 mice-sized meals a day.
Is that how much? I didn't really know what the quantity was they required.
I heard 8 mice a day at least.
I'm not sure why they specified mice-sized meals, but...
Do they eat the whole mouse, bones and all?
I don't think so.
Some cats will, but also like owls, they'll then regurgitate the portions that they couldn't digest. Mostly the hair and claws.
Maybe that's true because cats are regurgitating all the time. They're really messy, disgusting animals.
Unfortunately, that is a problem Sammy has. That sometimes. Go ahead, Porpoise.
Sorry. I haven't had too many problems with that with Athena, but that's because I usually get hairball control.
Yeah. Even with the hairball control formula, with Sammy, it's not a matter of the hairball. It's that he seems to have pica, that he will eat things that are just not food. Mostly when I bring him upstairs, he loves to eat all the colorful yarn scraps that he finds in the rug.
An ideal diet for a cat would be 5 to 6 mice per day. Mice are high in protein.
Yeah, that of course is going to vary since the size of cats varies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sammy's about 8 pounds, which I consider to be an average house cat. Petunia's half Maine Coon. She's close to 20 pounds.
Athena's been eating an awful lot lately.
Does nobody like us? Is nobody hitting the like button?
Hit the like button, please. I see 7 likes.
Well, we're up to 8 now. I don't know how many it was at before. I honestly don't generally watch those things while the stream is running.
Please like us, please. Though oddly enough, the reason why they don't make mice flavored cat food is because they don't like the taste, even though it's their native diet.
Sammy doesn't like beef. And any kind of cat thing I get that's beef flavored, he has no interest in it. He just likes the chicken and the fish flavors.
Huh. Now,
Hey,
my
Titan.
channel- I see my channel is not down there, but I haven't really been active, so.
So anyway, perhaps on to the next topic.
Sure.
Mage
Yeah.
had posted a thing to the group about the them trying to expand the Florida Don't Say Gay bill.
Yeah, apparently this is from some place out in Tampa Bay area. It's a county in Florida.
Okay, so this wasn't for the whole state, or?
I'm not I don't think it's.
Well, no, it says Florida House of Representatives at the
Yeah.
top.
Well, it is a senator that's doing it, so.
Yeah, so whoever authored the bill is from Tampa, but he's proposing it for the entire state.
Yeah, pretty sure it's the same guy doing the whole register for the blogger thing.
Yeah, I mean, if DeSantis. Sorry. I keep.
What was it? Louisiana or Mississippi, or maybe Alabama? Any one of them. They're all the same pit of humanity. Have proposed to bring lynchings back.
I didn't know
Oh.
that anyone had gone on record for that. I had heard a couple, kind of say off the cuff about it. Although I would not be the least bit surprised.
Okay, which
No, I'm not
lawmakers?
surprised at all. We're talking about goddamn fascist Nazis. Don't put anything past them.
Remember,
Everything horrible that people have predicted over the last 5 to 10 years, that everybody said, "Oh, you're overreacting. Oh, that's not going to happen. Oh, you've got such an imagination," is happening. All of it. Think of the worst possible things that they could do. They will do it.
It's a Republican Adam Anderson that's apparently
Yes.
proposing the legislation for this expansion.
It's also supporting firing squads too. That's
No,
for the
I'm-
gay people,
I'm just hoping Trump will just die of natural causes soon, and the cult just isn't there anymore.
I'm kind of plugging for the Supreme Court. Or
Yeah,
at least 6 of it.
I actually think the best scenario for the next election is for the Republicans to nominate DeSantis. Trump being all butthurt, they starts a third party and they split the Republican vote. So whoever the Democrats put up wins.
And have you heard the other little tidbit for other Republican House? They would like to expand the numbers of representatives in the House by 150. Gee, with all the gerrymandering they've done, who would think's going to get all the seats?
Could you put some source links down, please?
No, I just listened to the news and stuff.
Well, if they're proposing that for the House, though, they shouldn't be able to complain if Biden decides to expand the Supreme Court to 13 justices and appoints 5 more judges.
Yeah, I can't believe that they haven't done that.
Well, I'm sure that usually the reason they give for not doing things like that is because they're afraid that the next guy in line is going to use it against them.
Yeah. Well, they
But
can't
the fact
anymore.
that's
They
Huh?
can't anymore because it would require the House to introduce it and pass it, and then the Senate, and then from there the president could make his nominations. But it's over with now. They have
Yeah.
the House, and they're not going to do it because they know what the outcome would be.
Yep. Yeah, they wouldn't really have the time to implement it now. But, because it's already been mentioned publicly, that if we wind up at some point in the future with having a majority of liberal judges and a Republican president, they're going to go ahead and do it. The problem is that most of the Democrats, for some reason, can't give up the idea that the Republicans will play by the same rules.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that maybe now that they will start to get the message, but I don't think they have. And it's time to play dirty pool just as bad as they do. I mean, it's nice to be all have all these lovely platitudes of going high when they go low. Well, that's fine, great. It's lovely, it's moral, and it's going to be an absolute loser, and we're going to lose our freedom in our nation.
Yeah. Yeah, when you clearly see they're not going to play by your rules, you have to start playing by their rules.
You gotta go low and still beat them with experience.
Actually, Titan, a lot of states are bringing back firing squads because Europe will no longer supply sodium pentothal.
Oddly enough, firing squads might actually be more humane than some of the methods we've been using.
I would think that as the Republicans take total control, that they will let you use anything to kill them. There are so many drugs that will kill you. It's just a matter of the dosage. It may not be nice. It may not be friendly. It may not be pain-free, but they don't care.
Well,
They
Trump
just
in
want something dead.
Trump in one of his speeches did endorse public executions, not just for the supposed deterrent effect, but he also openly said because they make good entertainment.
Yeah, I think I recall him saying something along those lines. He's a proponent of lynchings.
And eventually it's going to be you need to serve in the military for citizenship. All right, no one got that Heinlein reference, but that's all right.
I was just going to say Starship Trooper.
Yep, I was about to say that Heinlein had proposed that.
I don't think he proposed it. I think
a lot
of
his
people
novel he did, not necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Heinlein was advocating for that society.
No, I did not get the impression that was an advocation in that book.
And the movie was misunderstood when it came out too. It was just 20 years too early.
The movie had absolutely nothing to do with the book apart from the title.
Yeah, from what I hear, they actually changed the movie. It was originally supposed to be something completely different, and they just kind of tacked on the whole Heinlein stuff afterwards.
Well, the rights for Starship Troopers came up and they bought it.
Now, actually, there was an animated series called Roughnecks, the Starship Troopers Chronicle.
I saw some of that.
And the animated series fit with the book far better than the movie did. It wasn't about the book, but, you could see it as being the same military organization in another theater.
I still think the movie is a brilliant piece of work in its own right.
I don't think I'd use the word brilliant.
It's a brilliant parody of a fascist adventure film, which is what it was supposed to be.
Good popcorn film.
That too.
I didn't know they intended it as a parody. I thought that happened by accident.
No, I mean, that was deliberate because it's the same guy who did RoboCop.
Ah.
Yeah, I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Republicans are also pushing for RoboCop. They think that's a good idea, too.
Yeah.
They want to have armed robots, and they want to even put them in the schools.
I still don't get why they think it's a good idea to let teachers be armed.
Because
most of the teachers don't.
Even the ones that are pro-gun don't think it's a good idea.
Yep.
They're like,
you want to know how many times in an average week I want to shoot a student?
How about the idea of arming the students?
It's like, what if the student gets a hold of a gun? This has already happened. Yeah, and I also recall when the guy was making Starship Troopers, Paramount said it's like, hey, this flag looks an awful lot like a Nazi battle flag. And his response was, oh no, it's a different color. When it was deliberately based on a Nazi battle flag.
You're going for a snack. I still haven't gotten my dinner yet. So at some point here, I do have to get up and get my food is ready now.
Geez. There was a cat at my foot. Where did she go? Oh, there she is. Still at my feet.
Well, I was telling Sammy he couldn't be on my lap before the stream started because I was, kept getting up and down and doing other things. So he has finally contented himself to just laying on the footrest. That's my recliner. I keep the footrest up all the time, whether I'm sitting here or not, because that's Sammy's porch. So I should probably take advantage of the fact now of getting up for a minute while he is sleeping before he tries to climb in my lap again. I think all this lap time he's been demanding is just because he's, feeling kind of neglected, that I'm not spending enough time at home playing with him. So you people keep the conversation running for about 5 minutes here for me.
Sure. What were we talking about?
Nobody knows. Cats using your kitchen counters to walk on and hang out on right after using the litter box.
Yeah, you go.
And, knifing Gary Busey's son with a throwing knife.
My dad had a cat he called Shithead. It was the name because the cat would go into the litter box, stick its ass outside the litter box, and then take a shit.
My sister had a cat that, it would eat tinsel, and every time we caught it doing that, we were like, quit eating the tinsel, screwball. So one day she was watching this old movie, and one of the characters just shouts, it's like, hey, screwball! And the cat just stops and turns around and looks at us.
Oh, got its name now.
Well, the cat probably thought it was its name because it got called Screwball so many times. It's like putting the. It's like knock that off, Screwball. No, but the cat's name was Fritz, not Screwball.
Well, a screwball then.
Well, human life does. I would say human life does begin at conception, but that's not the issue.
Yeah, I'd say it's more of a concern about human consciousness. The personhood.
And I'd say it's also more of an issue about viability, what's overall better for society, and of course, whether or not someone else has a right to use your body. I'm sure we've all heard the violinist argument.
Yep. That's a good point.
Okay, missed that second part. Sure, it's $1 million. I mean, with inflation, that would have gone up.
Yep. Shoot. Well,
Yeah, these days $1 million is about what it takes you to buy a house in a lot of major cities.
And wages haven't gone up because we have to make sure that the amount of money the rich has doesn't go down. Because money is not meant to be kept in circulation or anything. No, it looks like it was a Democrat that proposed expanding the House. Is
I
this
had
our-
heard brief mention of expanding the House, but I didn't understand, who was doing it or why they thought it was going to accomplish something.
Yeah, Democrat, Republican. It's just good cop, bad cop.
well, one of the things we ought to do in general is get rid of first past the post voting. So it'll matter more for Democrats and Republicans to go out in the states that just go to one each time, because it's like not all the states' electoral college votes will go to this one candidate.
Yeah.
I think Maine did away with it.
Well, it would also help just to get candidates to go out and actually meet some of the people they represent. Because some of them, especially if they feel they're in a safe district, just don't have to bother talking to the people.
Okay, well,
I also read today that there is an official investigation going on with the House Ethics Committee of George Santos. And
What
they,
does-
and they have exposed 2 other Republican congressman people for falsifying their resumes.
what does there need to be investigated with George Santos?
Well, you got to
Yeah,
play.
they need to
You got to
make it
play it by the
official.
numbers. Just because he doesn't mean you're allowed to.
Yeah.
I mean, I do love when he invented fire.
Well, somebody had to. We should be
Well-
very grateful. Personally, I'm glad he invented the waffle iron.
Hey, sliced bread's great.
Yeah, and then he beat Chuck Norris.
Twice.
Well, George is pretty. Oh, Chuck, I mean, is
Okay.
pretty old nowadays.
Okay, that's a reference to a really old meme. But
Fortunately, I don't have my Bruce Lee meme up around here.
I don't know. I was more of a fan of Jackie Chan. Not only could he beat the shit out of you, he can make you laugh while he was doing it.
all right, well, even though I'm not going into work tomorrow because I have to be somewhere else, I still have to be up early tomorrow because I have to go to, or have to help with a conference that's being put on the university. So remember, everyone, be excellent to each other. Help control the animal population. Have Bob Barker spayed or neutered. Actually, it's not Bob Barker anymore. Drew Carey. And so long, and thanks for all the fish.
Thanks for coming by.
Okay, good night. We'll
Later,
catch you
Gator.
next time. Okay, now I thought that I thought that it was adjusted periodically about
No.
the members of the House based on the population.
No, it's been 435 my entire life.
I thought it had been increased at some point in my life, but I don't really remember now. Okay, well, I can definitely see there being a reasonable argument for that. And I can certainly see more of an argument for the districts to be based on population.
Well,
I
they
don't
are.
know when they draw the district, huh?
They are. That's always been the intent of the House. Only thing that's weird about it is that now they, represent. Well, we'll take a pocket of people here on the west side of the state, and then we'll take a little pocket of here on the east side of the state and connect them by a thin one road line. They're gerrymandering stunts.
Yeah, it is ridiculous how they managed to string together a couple of neighborhoods they know that they've got a majority in.
They should be required to draw these districts as close to a square as they can.
Okay, it wasn't entirely your imagination. It was temporarily you expanded in between 1959 and 1962 to 437 with the addition of Alaska and Hawaii being admitted into the union.
Mm. I think that was still before my time, though. I had thought it was like sometime in the 80s, but I don't. Apparently, I was wrong on that. And I agree, what Titan was saying there, that, how can they speak for a group of people that large? It's certainly not going to be a unified voice.
Well, it's not going to be a unified voice if you have 30 people in a district. Because everybody's different. Everybody has their own opinion.
Yes, and, the larger the group you're talking about, the more different opinions there's going to be.
I mean, if they would have kept up with the ratio of voters to representatives that they had from the very beginning, I heard somebody say there would be like over 1,000 or more representatives now. And how are you going to manage a body like that? And how effective can a body like that be? It
Well,
can't.
there's a point for that too, that even the current House of Representatives.
Agreed. 435 is too many.
Yeah, the only thing you're ever going to get 400 people to agree on is to give themselves a raise and go on vacation.
Well, they don't even agree. They just vote. You show me one congressman who reads what they're voting on. I mean, there have been some, but sure not many.
Yeah, I agree, and that's a major problem too, that most of them don't know what's in the bills they're voting on. But these days, they generally don't care. They're just going to vote with whoever the head of the party is.
Yep. Which is why we have the situation we have now. I mean, I like 3-4 years ago, maybe more, probably 5-6 years ago. I was listening to an NPR story on as part of their news, and they were talking about climate change and voting for bills to effectively change our situation with climate change and start taking action and stuff. And they did interviews, as long as they kept them anonymous, of many different Republicans who said that they would vote to support climate change, except for the fact that they get thrown out of office. That they know that they need to. They know that the earth requires this, but they're still just voting to protect themselves. They don't care about us. They don't care about the planet. They care about themselves.
Yeah, because they know that the National Party would not help them in their next re-election bid.
No, they'd probably fight them in the next election bid.
Yeah, they'd put up a new challenger in the primaries.
There is at least one person in the Republican Party who is now in the Congress from Wisconsin, who was at January 6th and who was in the Capitol building. He wasn't just a spectator outside. And the people in the district, I'm going to say they were aware because I know it had been on television. It's in this area where I'm living. I know that, excuse me, had been discussed on television a number of times in various low-level debates and again, news stories from local media. But people still voted the asshole in. And he's a real just vile person. Absolutely rabid, anti-gay, anti-LGBT. But, put him in.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the other half of the equation, is a lot of the voters don't really pay attention to what their representatives do. So they just keep voting, whether it's an R or a D, without having, any idea for what the person did their last term in office and whether or not they should get another one.
Well, I would certainly agree, but it's the trick is that if they continue to vote along the party line, it's been the party that has turned all the voters into drunk sailors who only follow what the party says they should vote, who the party says they should vote for, and what are the key words to hate? Who are we going to hate this week? You know, they made the term liberal a dirty word back in the 90s, and they just continue to pick a new thing to hate. And that's what they vote for, is then the candidate who says, I hate this too.
Yep. Yeah, every 10 to 20 years, they just pick on a new group of people to demonize and basically run the same script over and over. This group is destroying the American way.
We are losing the battle, folks. I really don't necessarily believe that we can win this. I really think we're going to end up a fascist nation within the next 5 years.
I don't think the whole nation would go down that fast, but I agree with you that it's not looking good, and I don't really see how we're going to turn it around.
All they would need is to have a White House that is Republican, and they still have the House that's Republican. And with the way they've set things up with all the judgeships and school board people and state representative people, they could happen at the flip of a switch overnight, literally.
But there are some states that I think would not be, so willing to go along with that. And that becomes the real question is, what happens if at the federal level they are pushing something that even the people in the state legislature just can't swallow anymore?
I see those people as some of the easier politicians to push around. The state representatives are all these little people who have their little companies and stuff like that, who really are private citizens mostly, but they get a huge ego charge out of being in their position, and they're just rampant to do whatever they have to do to stay in office because it's such a part of their identity. And I just think they're much easier to push around because they're on such a small level, and it's easier for them to get voted in than a national person because of the gerrymandering. They're the ones who are creating the gerrymandering.
Well, I kind of feel this is a discussion we've had so many times, I don't really have anything left to add to it.
No, I agree. I understand what you're saying, but we still need to keep it fresh in people's minds. Americans love to forget shit.
It still needs to be brought up frequently to try and get people to think about what's going on before they try to vote again.
Uh-huh.
I guess I see that. I still think that a civil war is more likely than for the entire country to go fascist as a single unit.
See, the thing is, a country doesn't choose to go fascist. A country is grabbed by the collar and forced into becoming fascist because the people were stupid enough to vote in the people who want it that way.
But I mean, you're talking about they could do it overnight with the flip of a switch, and
yeah, of course they could.
Well, that's the part I don't get. I think if they flip that switch, they're more likely to have some states that'll go along with that and some states that'll say, fuck this, we're out.
It has nothing to do with the states. Nothing. If they decide, look, let's say tomorrow we vote in this DeSantis, okay? Let's say DeSantis as a possibility as president, and they still have their Republican Congress. You know, we think, oh well, the Democratic Senate can stop them from anything they want. No, they can't. The powers of the president have been manipulated over the years to give presidential power a much greater standing now than it did have, say, back in Roosevelt's days. They have intentionally made the presidency more powerful. That's what the Republicans have always wanted, and they're the ones who always expand the presidential powers. As it is right now, you get a guy like DeSantis, and he could start writing executive orders and all these things that he has to send through Florida representative and senates in their state. He can just write as an executive order and say, "This is the law of the land now." Okay, and it is. Okay, and so suddenly you have your fascist nation in terms of how it's being run. Well, the commander-in-chief is also in charge of the army. And all he has to do is give his order to occupy the streets, because you gotta keep the bad guys from hurting the president. So we're gonna have to occupy the streets. And boom, it's done. It's over. You lose. Things like the Holocaust didn't happen because they passed a law to create the Holocaust. They happened because the people in power used the power that they had to make it happen.
Well, I think we should move on to another topic. It's like I said, I don't feel I've got a whole lot more I can say on this. Mage has gotten quiet.
Okay.
So what else is going on? Anybody have a happy topic that we could go up to?
I didn't get my shit today.
Oh, had you ordered a pile of shit and it didn't arrive?
Yes, I ordered some bat guano. Yeah, oh well. Probably should arrive along with the other thing I ordered, a lapel mic. I want to try and get some better quality on my videos.
Now, I've heard bat guano mentioned a number of times. Is there any reason that bat guano is better than from any other animal?
Yeah, there's some microbes in it that can be pretty beneficial. Though what I ordered isn't going to have any live microbes in it, but it has some good nutrients, which is what I need it for. I ordered a lavalier lapel microphone to hook up to my phone.
Okay, well, that should help when you're trying to do narrations out in the garden.
Yeah, I can actually detach myself from the camera.
So do you have a tripod then that you can set your camera up on? And
Oh yes. In fact, I essentially ended up getting the tripod for free.
Cool. Free is good.
Yeah, I bought the tripod for I think actually they may have actually paid me a little bit for it. I think it was like a little under $20 what I paid for it, and they sent me a gift card in the mail saying, "Well, here's a $20 Amazon gift card for buying our product."
That's nice. I was able to do that one time because they were offering $50 for me to get an Amazon credit card.
All I had to do
Go ahead.
All I had to do was write a positive review, which is fine because I actually like the product.
I accomplished the best eBay scam I've ever heard of. and I call it a scam, but it really wasn't a scam because it was completely by the rules. A bunch of years ago, I was looking for a video production tripod, which tend to be a little different than standard still photography tripods, and they're more expensive. A true video tripod, not the crap that they label as a digital video tripod in your local retail store. No, they're not. This thing was carbon fiber with wheeled spreader at the bottom, a fluid head a ball head attachment. Quite the fancy tripod. And for some reason, when I was looking, I said, well, what if I spell this company's name wrong? What might I find? And I did. It was a Manfrotto. I think I spelled it with one T instead of two. And this tripod I was looking at, it came up. Well, this sucker retail is a $2,100 tripod. Nobody else bid on it. And I got it for $250, which was their opening bid.
Nice.
And they begged me to cancel the deal. I said, sorry, you played the game and you lost and I won. I'm sorry, you guys, but this is a legal deal. It says they're right in the agreement you signed with eBay. So I got it.
Yeah, I've looked into that on eBay a couple of times that somebody made a typo or a misspelling. So I was able to find something that no one else was bidding on.
Yeah, that's a tip if you're an eBay shopper at all. Anytime you're looking for one specific thing, try different spellings of it. You'll be surprised at how many things you find that are misspelled.
Well, one time I think
it shows just how much of a lack of education that Americans have and how we can benefit from that.
One time I'm guessing somebody may have been like trying to use text to speech to put up the listing, because instead of Lego, it came up as logo.
Autocorrect.
Yep. So I got a big tub of Lego for about a quarter what I expected they should have gone for.
Nice.
Okay, so Jenny, what would distinguish something between being a still camera tripod and a video tripod?
Well,
Darn.
Oh dear. Well, she'll be back in a moment.
Yep. We can kill time with here.
You seem kind of quiet tonight.
I'm sorry. I pushed the wrong button, of course. A fluid head tripod is it's set up with fluid on the inside of the pivot points and stuff. It's not actually fluid. It's a certain type of or certain level of viscosity of grease with the friction material that is compatible with it, so that your movement is not just free and easy. That you can't hit it and it'll spin around like it would on a still camera, because that's just a dry pivot, like a screw or a bushing with a shaft or something. So a fluid head is designed so that it will pan very, very fluidly, very smoothly, and so that it will pan up and down equally as smooth, because it has the same mechanism and liquids and things in that. And then you have that whole assembly of the head of the tripod, and high-end tripods are sold without a head. Okay, it's just a set of legs. And this tripod was what's called a ball head. And what that means is that at the bottom of the tripod head, instead of it having like a screw, a 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch screw attached to the tripod, it's a big semicircular half a ball that has a big shaft on it, a locking shaft on it, and then you put it down through the center of a cup, which matches the profile of the ball, and you can reach underneath and just do a 1/4 turn of this stick that it's on, and you can balance it out, level it and all these kind of things, whatever you need to do, and then you lock it down. Okay, and so you have the attitude of the camera fixed. Okay, whereas if on a standard tripod, you can't do that. You just can't do that. You can do a pivot right left. You can't do a tilt upper right lower left, for example. Okay, but you can on a fluid head. The other thing that a lot of video cameras have is I don't care if it's whether it's made out of aluminum, wood, or carbon fiber. It will have a twin leg system where the top of the legs are maybe 3-4 inches apart, a pair, I should say, 3-4 inches apart, and then they taper down to a single point at the bottom. It's just a more stable leg system. It doesn't shake, it doesn't twist. It's just more stable, and so you have 3 of those, and essentially you have 6 legs, but they're in 3 spots. Then the dolly that you put on it hooks onto the place where the thing would normally touch the ground if you had spikes or something like that, and it's wheeled so that you can do a motion shot. That you slide the camera along on tripod and film people walking or whatever you're doing. It's not always very useful outdoors because of concrete seams and stuff like that, but indoors it's a very useful mechanism. Outdoors you got to build railroad tracks, where you literally get these sets of tracks that are like 12 inches apart, and they're rails and everything, and you mount them 4 or 5 sections at a time. They're 6 to 8 feet long, and you actually
Yeah, I've seen those setups where they're like filming TV news reports.
Yeah, and that's how they do that. Is they level out the track. Each set of ties across the tracks are leveled independently. So you have this nice straight pan that goes with the camera movement that goes with whatever pan you're doing and stuff. Yes, I said shaft. I said ball too. And so there's lots of differences. A still camera just does not require as much stuff. A still camera only requires a high-end tripod when you start loading heavy lenses on it, like 600, 800,000 millimeter lenses that weigh in at 20, 30 pounds a piece and cost $10,000. You don't want those falling over, so you get a pretty good expensive heavy tripod for that. And that's another thing, is the sheer weight of a tripod matters. All this consumer stuff you buy, they advertise, oh, it's so lightweight. You don't want lightweight in a tripod. In fact, a lot of times you'll see the center post on a tripod and I'll have a hook on the bottom. That's for hooking on lead weights. Okay, so that you have more pull, you have more weight, and a low center of gravity on the tripod, and it makes it more steady.
Yeah, I knew the hook was for hanging weights on it, so that it kept it more stable.
A shopping cart and a small tripod. Yeah, there's a lot of indies that'll do that kind of stuff. The indie work I was doing was at a more, not quite a beginner's level. We had money, so we got to do it the right way. But yes, absolutely, films have been made with shopping carts and small tripods. It's perfectly okay to do. I've seen people use office chairs. I've seen people use wheelchairs. A lot of different things, a lot of creative ways to do that. Yes, that's right. Balls get cupped. Uh-huh.
I don't know how many people would trust Jenny cupping their balls, but
I would never squeeze too hard. Maybe. Unless you're a Republican. That's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to turn into a hooker, and I'm going to go to Republican conventions and get them to come up to my hotel room, and we'll have sex. And while we're having sex, I'll do a covert vasectomy on them.
Oh, that reminded me. What was that? It was off of, who was that said that? It was,
well, being a hooker is how Lorraine Boebert got into the Republican Party.
the Humanist Report was covering a report on two senators trying to get these anti-drag queen bills through, and they both were caught cross-dressing.
Lovely. I would love to see those news stories. I have no doubt they're true.
Yeah, there's a high school photo of the person and wearing a dress.
I saw one of those just tonight, and now I can't remember who it was.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just the hypocrisy that.
There's nothing wrong with it as long as they're not claiming that everyone who does this, is after their kids.
You mean like none of them? I've run into a couple people on TikTok now that I was kicked out of Twitter. I've been hanging out in TikTok, and I've run into a couple people there who have done videos describing how they just found out how many right-wing preachers and stuff out of the Southern Baptist Convention and their 205-page list of perverts, and the 475 Republicans and 0 drag queens, and they're just, oh my God, this isn't just a lie. This is an absolute travesty of dishonesty. And
Well, there's the YouTube link in the private chat for later if you may want to go check it out after the show.
Well, we can share it with the
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I'll share
Good
it
night,
with
Randy.
everybody.
yeah, with the regular chat. If it's on YouTube, anybody can get it.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, Mage, by all means, any links or citations, you should put them in the side chat for anybody watching to check them.
What's the thing about?
So I was talking about the guys trying to pass anti drag queen bills, and they have high school photos of them in drag, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's different. No, it's not.
That's exactly their argument. It's different.
Oh.
Well, all these things they're trying to pass about people having to wear, the clothing appropriate to their gender and all this stuff. And it's like, in the decades before I ever came out as trans, how many times just random people in the store misgendered me? So apparently I was never all that great at passing as a man to begin with.
Well, I believe it is Kentucky that is just working on passing their anti-drag bill that is going to basically ban drag from anywhere, anytime, and including on the public streets. And the way it's written, it would also include trans people. Well, what if I go down to Kentucky and I'm from out of town? Nobody knows me. My driver's license says female. Their law refers to what it says on your birth certificate. So I'm supposed to carry my birth certificate along?
Yep.
Nobody does. Why should I?
I expect they'll probably go by the gender marker on your driver's license.
Well, then I should be free and clear.
Yep.
But they specifically have written the birth certificate parts so that it says something like on your unedited birth certificate, which is why in Wisconsin I'm right now working with a lawyer, and we're going to push a judge to sign that my original birth certificate is destroyed, which you can apparently do if a judge will sign off on it.
Well, I'll go back to my other idea. If they say it's got to go by what my birth certificate originally said, that means I'll be allowed to walk around topless no matter how much I develop.
Yeah, I guess theory. Yeah, I've never
Let them
read.
bust me for indecent exposure, and then they gotta go and bust each.
Well, you have to read the indecent exposure law, because a law will define what qualifies as this or that. How do they define a naked breast? How is it written? Does it matter who is it attached to, or does it just matter that it's a breast? So it depends how it's written.
Yeah, that's the
depends.
problem, Tina.
That depends. Are the YouTube bots looking at it?
Yep. Well, we did have a shill stream that got shut down because the YouTube bots spotted nipples, and it was a man walking around shirtless in the video we were reviewing. But yeah, that's the thing, Tina. Nobody carries their birth certificate. I think the majority of people may not even really know where they have one if they had actually needed it for something.
Oh, that Florida thing that we were discussing just before about you're not allowed to diss on the governor or whatever like that.
Yeah.
That they can also sue you for a minimum of $35,000 if you accuse somebody of being a Nazi or a fascist or complain about the governor. The governor can sue you for it.
Yeah. And that is something I would have normally said wouldn't pass constitutional muster, but we can't depend on the Supreme Court to actually bother with the Constitution anymore.
Oh, there he is. Bill Lee's got this drag queen bill out, and there he is in high school.
Oh, no kidding. Bill Lee? Whoa, that's wonderful. He is absolutely rampant.
And there he is in high school in a dress.
Yep, that was the one I saw earlier tonight.
I got to screen dump that one. Oh, what a hypocrite. What a hypocrite.
And apparently there's another one too.
Who? I'm sorry?
There's another one too. I can't remember the name right now. I'd have to go back and watch the video again.
Yeah, somebody had posted that same same photo on Twitter some hours ago.
Oh, damn.
How
am I going to taunt him with this now that I'm not on Twitter?
Oh, yes. I'm sure this is getting the Streisand effect.
Yes, sirree. Is that a guy he's with or a girl in?
Those are all girls.
Okay, so it's like Sadie Hawkins Day or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. So he's in the cheerleader outfit, and all the cheerleaders are in suits.
Yeah, well, I'm betting that the one that's at the end being cut off is probably another guy in drag in the short skirt there.
Probably.
And like their girlfriends then are wearing their suits.
Yeah, well, I guess Bill Lee would have to be arrested because they certainly don't make allowances for Sadie Hawkins Day in high school.
And he would not confirm that was him either. The reporter had the picture in his hands, like, "Is this you?" And he just walked off.
You could probably find some liberal from his high school that'd be happy to identify him. Jeez.
Well, they have to have somebody they can demonize. Otherwise, somebody might actually ask him a question about a relevant issue. Then they'd be completely lost.
Yeah, every couple of days somebody's making a statement or a Twitter or a YouTube or a TikTok complaining about what have the Republicans done? They haven't passed a single bill in their first 2 months now, where anything has been helpful to the economy, people, all the things that they promised that they would do, and they haven't touched one of them. They're just going after drag queens and stuff.
Well, and I've seen people going after, individual House and Senate members, showing that, for as long as they've been in office like, 4, 6 years, whatever, and that they have not passed anything that was of any interest to the public at large. If they passed anything at all, it only affected corporations and billionaires.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And unfortunately, I wish that we didn't need Twitter, but it has gotten to be the place where people are staying connected with each other, and we haven't found a good alternative yet.
Well,
You know,
Mastodon is okay, but it doesn't do the same thing as Twitter does. You know, it's great if you just want to communicate words between you and your followers, but you don't get that massive feed of the entire population that's on it, which kind of makes it not as useful.
I've had trouble with Mastodon.
well, that's the main thing, that Twitter was easy to use. That's why it got so many people. Mastodon, you need to understand more of what's going on. It's a little complicated, and I think it's just really too complicated for your average person, you know, who just wants to sit down and scroll through messages.
Yeah, and if you happen to be on Mastodon.lol, you're going to have to find a new instance to join because they're closing LOL down.
Yeah, I got the email about that.
Yeah,
and that was where I had put my account, was on the LOL.
For those who don't know, the person who ran it was gay and or trans. I don't really know which. And they've been getting so many horrible hate letters and death threats and things like that. They said, "This just ain't fucking worth it. I'm shutting this down."
Okay, I had not heard the reason for it. I just knew it was being shut down.
Yeah, he came in. He posted a message all about it.
I must not be doing something right. I haven't gotten a death threat in a while.
Well, on a personal note, something that was a bright spot for me, I finally got the information about a trans group that is, you know, meets locally in the city here.
Oh yeah.
And well, you know, part of my reluctance was I knew they met at a church, but I was informed that the pastor of that church is openly gay.
Yeah, there's a lot of situations like that. I would go
Yeah.
if it was in a church. We have this Lutheran church up around here in La Crosse that is not only LGBT friendly, but the pastor is a trans.
Yeah, so well, I'm hoping then that I can make that next week and meet some people locally that I can talk to about things.
Yeah, that'll be very good for you, I think.
Yeah.
I've got no idea the size of the group. For all I know, I'll show up and I'll be the only one there. But
you know, I look back at my own personal history and I look at it in through the eyes of like some of these young people that are just starting their journeys and stuff, and I can't imagine what it would be like to transition completely alone like we did way back when. In today's society, I think that would be damn near impossible with all the hostility and danger about the whole thing.
well, it would be,
You
and
just
that's
need to have people with you.
yeah. Well, and that's a big part of, you know, the hate mongers. The way they're pitching it is they're trying more and more to isolate people, because the more isolated people are, the easier it is to eliminate them.
Mm-hmm. Or just control. Although we know that elimination is the goal, not control.
Yeah, some of them have been open about the elimination part, but at very least, you scare them enough and they'll go into hiding, and then you can pretend they're not there.
Yeah, Hitler doesn't work that way. They want to have a body count.
Yep.
Ron D. Hitler.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of rustling noise here.
Oh, it'll be over soon. Don't get upset.
Well, sometimes you're doing it while you're speaking, and then I can't figure out what you're saying.
Oh, that's okay. I'm mumbling at those times.
Okay, for me personally, it's a difficult thing because I really have a lot of difficulty sorting out, you know, people's voices from background noise.
Sorry,
you-
I'm getting my medication in order.
But while we're doing this, I'm loading up my syringe to do my weekly injection here.
I had to teach a local trans woman who was just, cracking her egg, and she was just starting injectable hormones, and she needed teaching on how. And so I went over to her place and, tried to talk her through it. She was really scared. She sat there for 10 minutes, just frozen, not being able to stab herself. And then of course she finally did, and I immediately asked her. I said, "Did it hurt?" And she said, "No." I said, "See, we told you." And
Yeah.
they'll be much less hesitant next time.
I
Yep.
can see how that'd be a problem if you're not used to needles.
Oh yeah, and I was scared the first time I did it. How bad is this going to hurt myself? And most of the times you jab, you really don't even feel it much. Once in a while, it'll hit a nerve or something more directly under there, and it'll make you want to jump a little bit. But
Yeah.
for the
Well, I
most,
mean,
nothing.
unless you hit a nerve, it is literally a pinprick.
Yeah.
The needles you're injecting with are tiny. What is this, like 27 gauge?
Wow, that's tiny.
Yeah, I actually wound up doing something like that just a couple of months ago. Was somebody who had just gotten their first batch of needles and was all nervous about doing it. So I did it with them through through a StreamYards thing like this, just a private chat. So they could, watch me do it, and I went through it step by step with them.
Don't you find with that gauge needle, it hard to push this shit through?
No. Well, that's they give me a bigger needle to load it from the vial,
Yeah, but that's not
and
what
then
I'm
I
talking
swap
about.
to the smaller needle. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is when you're pushing it into your flesh.
No, it's the stuff they're giving me to inject just isn't that high of viscosity. It's probably only slightly thicker than water from the look of it.
I remember my mom having to help somebody out with their insulin when they first started having to take injections.
Well, I think that's when I first started, they started me on patches. And I think that the doctor was just kind of used to people having a hard time injecting themselves, so he didn't want to give me the injections. And when the patches didn't work, and I finally got him to give me the injections, the first one you got to do in his office so he can, show you all this and that. And it's like, I grabbed the thing, I wiped it off with the alcohol swab, jammed it into my leg before he finished the sentence. And he's like, well, okay then. It's like, I was doing this for my late fiance with her insulin for 3 years. If I can stab somebody I love, I can stab myself.
That's like my mom showing me how to give her insulin if I needed to. She's like, "Okay, put it right here. I did it, right there. I already did it."
Doesn't insulin require a sub-Q injection though versus an IM?
What was that?
Sub-Q meaning you take a pinch of skin and put the needle in, and the needle really never goes deep. It goes sideways
No,
and stays within a pinch of the skin.
no, you just
No, it's
stab it
the
in.
same thing. You just have to
Okay.
inject it into an area that's got some body fat.
Yeah, mom usually stuck it in her thigh.
Yep. My late fiance liked to do it in her stomach. I usually do my thigh just because my thigh's convenient when I'm sitting here.
I know some people who self-inject into their ass, and I don't know how the hell can you contort yourself that way?
I never gave that any thought. I could do it, but I don't see the point in trying to.
Well, you could. I don't see any advantage to it.
Yeah.
Can't balance it upright and sit on it or something.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty flexible, especially how my shoulders go. There really isn't any point on my back that I can't scratch.
Yeah, same here.
But that's going to vary for everybody about how you're built in general and how flexible your joints are.
Except for when the arthritis gets into my shoulders, and I can't really reach too well.
My bottle of needles is almost full. I'm going to need to get an empty one to start putting all my used needles in next week.
Yeah, I have to go pick my next load of needles up.
Yeah, I got the email that some stuff is ready for me at the pharmacy, and I forgot to grab it when I was at the clinic yesterday. I forgot to stop in the pharmacy. So I will have to go back there tomorrow.
And I got to pick up my antidepressant medication, my happy pills.
Yeah, I'm at the point that I'm trying to get somebody to prescribe me something that will help bring my anxieties down, but my general physician did give me a prescription for some Buspar that he said, this is what I can prescribe as an interim thing until you can see someone else who can analyze this better. Just saying that that's out of his area of expertise.
Well, that's good, to be honest.
Yep.
Here's another interesting video to check out later. It's from a very old video.
I did finally get an appointment with a sleep specialist here, but that's not until next month because they were already scheduling like 8 weeks out when I finally got a hold of somebody there.
I think that the video I just posted was from either the 60s or 70s by the looks of it.
What's the topic?
A transsexual and her surgeon. It was an interview of somebody who was transgender or way back in the day who had transitioned with the surgeon who did it.
Does it give the surgeon's name in the description?
No.
I wonder if it's Stanley Biber. A long time ago, back in my days, there was only like one guy in the country who did trans surgery on a routine basis, and his name was Stanley Biber in Trinidad, Colorado. There were a couple others around the nation who did it, but it was not their specialty, and so that their level of expertise was not anything like Biber. Biber was doing like anywhere between 3 and 10 a day. A day. Oh no, a day. 3 and 10 a week, easily. And I heard that before he retired, he was up to doing like 15 a week, maybe 20.
God, how you
He
keep
took
up
on-
with the workload?
Okay, I got the guy's name. It was Dr. John Brown.
Okay.
Don't know.
Yeah, well, I was also just talking with actually, it was the new doctor I was meeting yesterday and discussing the possibilities for surgery and just generally more information. And he said there's only a couple of doctors in the state that do it, so I'll probably wind up going to the university hospital for it in Minneapolis.
Yeah, they're going to all be in Twin Cities.
Most likely. Which
There are no,
actually
there are no, there are no surgeons in this area that do it. People have to go to either Minneapolis or Madison, Wisconsin for the closest.
Yeah, I didn't know if they'd have somebody around here who would do it. They've got a good sizable surgery center here, so I was hopeful, but I'm not at all surprised that I have to go to Minneapolis for it. I was actually surprised to find they had a gender clinic here at all. I was expecting I'd have to drive to Minneapolis for everything.
Do yourself a favor. Do a search on Google for what do they call it? GCS, gender confirmation surgery.
Yeah.
Surgeons, and because I'm sure there are organizations that act as clearinghouses for who's all the doctors that are out there doing it, so you can see from a list and begin to interview people and chat with people online, Twitter and stuff like that. Who are you going to go to? Who did you go to? Why did you go to them? And people are happy to answer those questions.
Yeah, I would definitely like to hear from, some people that they've operated on previously,
Yeah, well,
what their experiences were.
Start now. It's a long process.
Yep. But that's why I was told too that everything's going to be a long process, which I wasn't surprised by at all. I knew this wasn't anything that's going to happen quickly, and I'm just trying to figure out, get everything in order and figure out what's the sequence I'm going to be doing all my different things in.
Oh, another piece of trans news. I am now hesitating, thinking maybe I misread it, but I think I read it correctly. That a young trans woman, was just named Miss Puerto Rico.
Oh, cool.
Take that, TERFs.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's gonna piss somebody off.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
And that was the end of this file.
But that's what bothers me, is that we can have on one hand things like this woman in Puerto Rico, and the fact that Miss Universe, the current Miss Universe, is trans. And she's not the first on one end of it, and then on the other end you have these people that are calling it absolute a fad, and it just it's this new fad that just showed up in the 2000s, and and that these people are sick and disgusting, and they're and they make all their judgment calls and stuff like this, and it's just weird that we can have those two extremes going at once. It's just mind-boggling for me.
I'm finding all these studies on MRI scans to be quite interesting.
Yeah. Well, and this whole thing about their panic about people doing the surgery on children. And I was told that before a surgeon is even going to consider doing the surgery on me, I need a letter from the doctor who's been prescribing the hormones for me, saying that I've been taking the hormones for more than a year. And I need evaluation letters from at least 2 separate mental health professionals who aren't associated with each other.
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
Yeah, so I don't see how anybody is going to be doing this on children, without somebody.
When people bring that up, the first thing you have to say is nobody is doing surgery on minors. It does not happen.
No, the only thing they're doing for minors is the puberty blockers. Just to prevent them from going through puberty before they figured everything out for themselves.
Oh, but taking those drugs, that'll hurt them. No, those drugs are designed for kids that are going through precocious puberty, way younger than they should, and so they're given it to them so they can have a normal life. They're perfectly fine. And
if a kid is given puberty blockers for 5 years and they stop taking them, you know what happens?
They go through puberty.
After a couple of months, they go through a normal puberty.
But these people just want to continue to lie.
They don't understand what the medicine actually does.
No, but the most frustrating thing about it is that I've seen so many discussions between a hate trans people junkie and people who are in the know, even people like Dr. Ben, who will explain things to them in clear language and stuff, and they choose to ignore it. They choose that, oh, well, I'm just not going to believe that. I'm going to disqualify science for my opinion.
Yep.
You fools.
It gets into willful ignorance, and it can be difficult to dislodge what one already believes, even if in the face of facts.
Oh, and on a side note, the name Dr. Ben is getting to be overused. I'm starting to think this is another thing like the Jens and Daves in our community. That if you meet a doctor who's under 30 and you don't know his name, if he's male, it's probably Ben.
Okay.
I now know 4 Dr. Bens.
Oh, okay. See, that was kind of an important piece of the
Yeah.
discussion.
So we have Sir Little Wolf joining us. And Tina went to bed.
Good night, Tina.
Oh,
Seems that that doctor in that video actually had a murder conviction at some point.
Say that again, please. I'm sorry.
That doctor in that video I posted, it apparently had a murder conviction later in life. I
Okay,
found the
which one?
Wikipedia, the Dr. Brown there.
Oh, interesting.
Second-degree murder.
well. Yeah, that's not really something you want with a doctor. Or anyone else for that matter.
Well, yeah, I don't want to go unconscious and give a guy a knife who's got that kind of record. No.
Yeah, you don't want somebody who's looking at you and thinking spare parts. Ugh. I'm not going to be able to run too long tonight. My throat is just not feeling good.
Well, we're almost at 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we did start a bit late, but we could wrap it up here if people
Well,
don't have
the
another
clock-
topic.
This clock on screen doesn't count until you push start.
Well, the StreamYard is saying 1 hour and 47 minutes.
That's right.
Yep. Well, unless somebody's got another topic, I suppose we'll wrap it up here.
Not really.
Okay. So, Miss you have any final words on anything we said tonight?
No, just the basic thing I've said many times in closing. You guys out in the chat, for those of you who express being an ally, and for those of you who don't even nowadays, understand that the genocide has begun, and it's no more. Nobody can go around saying, "I'm an ally," and then not do anything. You got to get out there. You got to write your politicians. You got to speak up. And anytime you hear somebody crack a negative joke, you have got to be a true ally. The genocide really has begun. People are dying. People are going to be going to prison soon, just because they're trans. So it's time for action, and I would appreciate it. Any of you who can honestly help. We really need you. We can't possibly do this on our own. We're 0.5% of the population.
Yeah.
Still comes out to 18 million nationwide, but it's not enough.
We're
Please
too
help.
scattered around.
Please help. That's all.
Okay, Mage, you have any final thoughts here?
Oh, well, I'll just plug my channel. My next thing will be a garden tour, and then after that, I'm thinking about maybe doing a little bit of review on the bat guano I ordered.
Bat guano, what flavor?
Dried.
Oh, geez. Well, yeah, you got to moisturize that first, though. It'll taste much better.
Yeah, you're going to have to title that one Mage's Batshit Review.
Oh, I've already got an idea for how the title card's going to look. So if I can get this thing done and by the weekend, and I might try and get something together to do another live stream. I'm thinking maybe Thursday at noon instead of on Saturday, because I'm not sure if I really like the Saturday time slot.
Okay.
Hey, Mitch, I learned something. And I think I was visualizing a daikon radish incorrectly because I was watching this garden show, garden food show, foodie or something like that, and they were going to chop up some daikon radishes, and a daikon radish is like a smaller version, but basically a football shape.
Hmm.
Is that what you know as a daikon radish?
They're big radishes.
Yeah, kind of just big bulbous things.
Yeah.
Not the little quarter-sized red things.
No, they're big.
Okay, then that's I was thinking of the wrong thing.
In fact, mine actually ended up being undersized. In that one that showed on in that picture.
Uh-huh. I love radishes. I'm going to put in some radishes this year.
Yeah,
Are
I'm
those-
gonna be chopping up some radishes pretty soon and mix them in with some pork and a few other things to make probably gonna be a stew.
Radish stew.
Yeah.
Now, if you add some horse meat to that, it will be horseradish stew.
Pony up.
Just need to let the pork defrost right now.
Yeah. When I was at the store, they had a pork loin at a really good price, but you had to buy the whole thing. So I have a huge pork loin in my fridge, so I'm going to have to cut up and probably freeze half of it and cook half of it.
Freeze is pretty good.
Yeah, it's just the thing is just too bloody big for us to consider that we would eat it all before it would go bad if I cooked it all at once.
Pot roasts.
I was thinking I'd probably do it in the slow cookers like a pork roast.
You can freeze cooked food also. That's what I do. I will like make a huge, like a Dutch oven's worth of tuna casserole, and then I'll put it in little plastic things and freeze them, and then I got a quick meal.
Yeah, I should do that more often, especially for Sloth Girl. She really can't stand long enough to prepare much of anything for herself anymore. So some pre-cooked things that she could just microwave when she's home alone.
Yeah, I do that same thing with your basic beefaroni thing and mac cheese, and in fact, I even save the plastic containers and stuff I get if I buy something like a Stouffer's mac and cheese thing. I'll save those kind of containers. Then I know exactly what I'm getting for the size and stuff.
Yeah, I reuse a lot of the containers that we get from the frozen food or that.
Maybe look into getting the that kind of egg cooker I got. It can do nice little steams up veggies pretty good too. Doesn't have to be egg.
Yeah, I don't. I got a small kitchen, so I have to avoid any specialized appliances. I just don't have room for them.
Well, I was thinking for a Sloth Girl because all you have to do is just push a button and go sit down, and it's very easy to clean up too.
Mm.
So don't reduce the amount just to stand.
Yeah, that's the other problem with a lot of those kitchen gadgets is they may save you time cooking, but you spend 3 times as long cleaning them, so you're not ahead.
Well, that's what I said. This thing is very easy to clean. It doesn't.
Yeah,
no. Maybe a few minutes.
Yep. Excuse me.
It's basically just wipe excess water off of it. Really.
Well, with all that, folks, I will sign off here. I will remind you to spay and neuter your Republicans. And I would like to, thank my subscribers. This episode was brought to you by Skitchcrasher.
Spay and neuter, yes, but don't let them out on the streets. You can't let Republicans walking around on the streets. Keep them in the house.
Yeah, especially MAGAs. We can't have MAGAs wandering around loose.
Yeah, they're the biggest, dumbest ones.
So I would like to thank all my subscribers: Skitchcrasher, Kitty the Atheist, Robert X, Lavender Lady, Greg Hartwick, Southern Sal, and Vonrek. Has anyone heard from Vonrek lately? It's like he he pops up in Diana's chats like once every couple of months now. We don't see him too often.
Not I.
I'll have to ask Diana if she's heard from him lately. I've been sleeping through her chats because it's wound up being that Sunday I'm recharging and don't get up until well into the afternoon. Okay, no, you don't have to do anything to Skits. Skits is very generous. He's very nice to all of us.
Dr. Phil Repeat is on right now, and the subject they're covering is people who have detransitioned. And I can tell you already the show is going to be totally bogus. They've got like 2 people out there who regret having transitioned. The actual percentage of regret in transgender surgery is 0.03%.
Yeah.
It is the lowest regret rate of any surgery on the planet.
Yeah,
Okay? Your average regret rate for all surgeries is about 14%, and trans it's 0.03.
Yeah, nearly everyone who has come out about detransitioning is usually because it was too much pressure from society or family members that they couldn't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
That if people would have accepted them, it wouldn't have been an issue.
There's one person who goes around, does the talk circuit as a detransitioner, and she's making money off of it. And she makes all these outlandish lies, like, oh, well, they didn't give me any counseling or anything stuff. Well, sorry, honey, the medical records exist, and according to the medical records, you had all the counseling, you had all the correct approvals and stuff like this, and you agreed with it, and you waited till you were 18, and stuff like this, and you still regret. Well, sorry, there's just nothing anybody can do if you deluded yourself that badly. Because the percentage of regret is just not there. It's a very small percentage, very, very small.
Yep.
And there's lots of people, as they go through the process, decide through the process that this isn't for me, and long before they do anything that's permanent.
Well,
Yeah.
as I said, I had to have a doctor certify that I've been taking the hormones for over a year before they'll even talk to me about the surgery.
Well, even the people who decide it's not for them is fairly small percentage-wise.
Yes, but the whole process is intended to filter out the people who it's not for, that it's not
Yeah.
appropriate for them,
Yeah,
whether it's an adult or a kid.
there isn't any express way to do this. Anybody who's to the level of having surgery has been thinking about it for a minimum of a year.
That's a terrible way to put it. That makes it sound really flaky. I'm sorry, I have to disagree with that. Most people who go into a transition situation in their life have known since they were little children.
No, but I'm saying, even for the people who are the most skeptical about it, that there is no way that anybody could have woke up and decided this, without having a year of dealing with medical professionals telling them over and over that they want to do this.
That's a much better way to put it. And it really matters that we're that specific these days, because people are just grabbing a few words in a sentence and running with that instead of the whole concept that you're trying to express. So that was a much better way to put it.
Okay, well, we had been signing off here, so I'm going to hit the button. And appreciate, all of you in the side chat who were along with us tonight. So we will see you all next week.
Later.
Bye-bye, chat. Love you guys.
Bye-bye, all.